All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to give it about one more minute for people to hop in before we take off and get started. So my name is Kelly Sherrill. I'm here from Padlet. I'm an account manager at Padlet. Um, Hopefully you can see my screen. If you can't, just, type in the chat. But I have my presentation up. I'm going to link the presentation into the chat right now. So that way you don't have to try to take the QR code if you don't want to. So let me do that right now before we get started. This is a Padlet I created just for this presentation today. So you can keep this Padlet for future resource use. I have quite a bit of resources on it that we may dive into, we may not get to today, and that'll be okay. I tried to overload versus underload. So just in case we don't get to things, you can keep that Padlet for future use, or a couple weeks or months from now, you're like, what did that crazy lady from Padlet say? You can come back in and find that Padlet and kind of peruse through it self-paced. All right, so I think we have everybody. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Once again, I'm Kelly Sherrill. I'm an account manager at Padlet. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with me. All right. And then I know Miss Morano posted in the chat about your check-in and your code and all that. So just make sure that you have that ready to go to make sure that you get some credit for being here today. All right. So thank you so much for joining me Saturday morning. Let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So here I have this Padlet. Like I said, I created it just for the sessions today. So you can keep this in your folder. You can also use the remake button over here on the right. If you are very new to Padlet, I'm going to walk you through Padlet. But for those that have dabbled in Padlet a little already, we have this remake button over here that you can click to make a copy of my presentation, and then you can edit your copy however you would like. So let's hop in. A quick advanced tip I'm going to share with you is that you can always turn a Padlet into a presentation. So just like I had this presentation up when you came into the room today. So here I have this Padlet, and at any time if I want to turn it into a presentation, this little triangle over here on the right side opens it into slideshow mode. So we're going to go through Padlet today. The first three activities that I have are things that we're going to do throughout the presentation today. So you don't necessarily need to hop into these activities just yet. We're going to go into the intro and examples first. So the way I kind of make the casserole today, if you will, is that I'm going to show you some examples of how you can use Padlet in your classroom environment. And then I'm going to show you the basics of Padlet, how to build a Padlet, what to add to Padlet. And then I'm going to wrap it up with some advanced features like AI and advanced tips and tricks. For example, breakout rooms, post fields, things like that. So we're going to walk you through it, but at first I'm going to show you some of the end results that you could have through examples of what other teachers have created. At any time whatsoever throughout this session today, please, please, please type your questions in the chat, unmute, ask. Happy to walk you through it, but I really want you to be able to take at least one piece of information from the session today. Awesome. So as I mentioned, here's our agenda. Padlet examples. We're going to go into how to make a Padlet, some AI features, and then we're going to leave it off with advanced features. All right, so what is Padlet? Padlet is an online website, padlet.com. You can make beautiful boards to collect, organize, and present anything. And we have various types of boards. So I'm going to hop into those. I'm going to talk about Padlet boards, Sandbox, which is our whiteboard feature, and then talk about our new AI features. So in my Padlet, you can peruse through any of these examples I have here. I have plenty of examples. If you click more examples, there are hundreds of examples, even broken down by grade bands. So if you are elementary, you can click on those elementary examples. And here we have various Padlets based off of different subject areas in elementary and so on. So I'm just going to show some of my favorites today. So for example, this is a group discussion about using AI at school. And so you can have a live Padlet session with your students, meaning that all you have to do as the teacher is post the question, and then the students hop on and they can respond live to each other and have a discussion online. It could also look something like this. If you were a fan of Flip or Flipgrid, we also have a video recorder on Padlet, very similar. So here is a Padlet with videos of what is the best season and why. And then you can see that you can add comments to a Padlet and even respond with video back. So these are just some ideas to hopefully spark some ways to say, hey, I can use this in my class. If you're getting into podcasts, you can use Padlet. We have an audio recorder. I'll show you that in a second. But here you can see the audio recorder down here, and the students were creating their own podcast. So those were just some quick examples of how to use Padlet. Like I said, this more examples button right here takes you to tons of demo Padlet. So if you're secondary, you might come in here and say, okay, here's a physics experiments, and all these are audio notes that students did the think see think wonder with their audio notes for the physics labs, and then also like contemporary poetry, things like that. So here you can really make Padlet spark just for you, whether it is you're putting together the resources and then presenting it to students, or it could be that you have just a question or a discussion and everyone hops on and collaborates at the same time and the students are bringing the information. So Padlet can work either way. You can preload or front load, and then also you can have students come in and add their opinion, add their thoughts to Padlet as well. So those were just some examples. I do have some Sandbox examples. We're going to hop into Sandbox in a little bit, but here you can see we have the whiteboard feature, very similar to Google Jamboard if you utilized that last year, but this is our Sandbox feature in Padlet, and you can see here the Venn diagram with students with sticky notes coming in. Also, you can also have a background of a graphic comic strip, and students can come in and add their own dialogue to it, and so on. So we're going to first hop into Padlet. So let me leave my presentation. I'm going to go to padlet.com. We're going to show how to make a Padlet, how to add to a Padlet, and how to share a Padlet. And then I'll go into Sandbox. We'll do the same thing in Sandbox real quick. And then we're going to try out the Sandbox. Awesome. Let me delete that because that is not the right one. So anyways, let me hop into Padlet.com. So it's really simple. You just go to Padlet.com and you can create a free account at any time. And then we have some options up here at the top. I just want to quickly point out, you have your home page. This is where your Padlets will be stored when you create them. Gallery, if you're looking for a template to start with. Learn section, short videos on how to do technical abilities in Padlet. So like I said, we have some self-paced learning. If you're interested later down the road, how to change the font on your Padlet, how to create a grid, things like that. So, at any time you want, you can hop into this learn section. Then I'm going to hop over into make. So truly, we're going to spend most of our time under make at this top left right here. So we have the blank board and a blank sandbox. I'm going to hop into the board. If you have seen Padlet before, you have most likely seen a Padlet board where we have this beautiful background and you can add your title, you can pick your layout. We even have a map layout. So if you wanted your students to pinpoint locations on a map, we have a table layout. This one's brand new. So if you're a Padlet user, you can hop into that table layout and choose kind of like this rows and columns format. We're going to stick to the columns or the wall. Those are our most popular ones. This is where I can add in information. So I could say something like, let's hop into, multiplication. And then this one could be addition. And I can change this title to threes. right? And so here I may be working with my third graders on saying, okay, let's teach you how repeated addition of threes is actually multiplication. So we're building into multiplication for an introduction. So here we could put in any content, we can do subject, we can add in a body, and then this is where you can add in attachments. So if we click on these attachments here, you have different attachments with Padlet. We have video, audio, screen recording. So as I mentioned before, if you want to do a flip style, if you wanted to do audio recording for podcasts, screen recorder, you can upload, you can add in links. We have two AI that are available for students. It's AI image and AI draw. We're actually going to hop into one of those in a minute. But it's really easy. So then we just can come into this one. We can add in, I am going to add in just an article just so you can see how quickly it can add in like a 15-page article. And then I'm just going to publish it. And so now it has published a post onto my Padlet. I can move this around. And so we can continue to add content with this plus button down here at the bottom. When you're ready to share it with your students, we can click on this share button right here at the top. When I click share, I can choose the visitor permissions. What do I want my students to do? What do I want my visitors to do? Do I want them to read this Padlet? Do I want them to comment on my post, or do I want them to write their own post? So I may choose writer, and then my link privacy, I'll set it to secret. Secret just means that anyone that has the link is able to hop on and access it. They do not have to have a Padlet.com account. So this is great if you do not have your students creating Padlet.com accounts. They can hop on, they can be a guest, and they can even change their name in their guest mode to their own name. And then I would just go into the link and I would share that link out. Really simple. We have created a Padlet, we've added to the Padlet, and now we're ready to share the Padlet. So let me hop back in. I accidentally skipped over my poll right here. So I am going to send this poll to you through the chat if you would like. So please answer below. So you can click on that post and it will say, what's your experience level with Padlet? Advanced, beginner, or intermediate? I've already kind of showed you some of the beginner mode with how to add a post. I apologize, I skipped over this by accident. I need to freshen up on my training skills, but here I can see live results. So we have some beginner, we have some intermediate. That's fantastic. For the intermediate, I'm going to show you some advanced features later down the road. Awesome. All right. So thank you for answering that. We are going to now hop into Sandbox, and then we're going to use this second activity of trying out Sandbox. So let me hop back into Padlet. At any time, you can click on the Padlet icon at the top left to route yourself back to that main page. We're going to go into make. So we explored the board. Now we're going to explore Sandbox. Sandbox is that whiteboard feature. So like I said, if you are familiar with Google Jamboard, very similar to that. Here, I opened up a Sandbox. It says start with a template. So here we have some templates you can choose from. So you can kind of look through these templates and see if something sparks your interest. You might be a high school science teacher. You might want to do the periodic table of elements. You might want to have a question of the day for an icebreaker. So things like that. But essentially, you can add multiple cards over to the side. And so when you share this out with students, it gives a whiteboard feature where they can draw, they can add sticky notes, shapes. And then if you click that plus 17, you get all of those attachments similar to the Padlet board, video, audio, screen recording, things like that. So here is where we can go into a more freeform style of a Padlet, and students can contribute through drawing, through sticky notes, things like that. So let's hop into this second activity. So I have a Sandbox ready for everyone. Let me make sure my sharing permissions are correct. So they're not. So if you tried clicking on it, it said access denied or you shall not pass, something like that, because I had it set to no access. So now I'm going to go into share. I'm going to say that my visitors can write. And then I am going to share this link out so I can either get the QR code or I can copy the link, and I'm going to post that link into the chat. If you are on my Padlet itself, you can actually click on this number 2, try out Sandbox. And I think I haven't linked it yet, but I will probably link it down here at the bottom as well. So now we can all hop into the Sandbox and play around. So I have new features here. What would you like to try first? I have a how are you feeling today, kind of an icebreaker. So here you can add in your name. We also have emoji, so you can copy the sticky note and add in an emoji below. You can play around in my sandbox. So if you click that +17, GIFs, links, images, things like that, so you can add those in. If you are a middle school teacher in this group right now, you might be thinking, oh, Kelly, if you're giving them access to GIFs, what are they going to come up with? We have a content moderation on Padlet, meaning that anything deemed inappropriate would be flagged and sent to the Padlet owner to review that post before they approve it for others to view. So if you would like, feel free to hop into my Padlet. Once again, you might need to refresh the page, but you can click the try out sandbox right here and you can hop in and you can play around, add content to this. This is for you guys to experiment with today, just to see what it's like on the student end. All right. And then, like I said, if you have any questions in the chat, if you have any issues in the chat, please, or if you have any questions or issues, please type them in the chat. Woo, I am losing my words today. All right. So hopefully, we quick recap while you might be hopping into this Padlet. If I need to link in the Padlet link again, please just let me know. I also linked in the sandbox in the chat earlier. But please feel free to hop in and play around. I see some people in here. You can see the cursor. So as the teacher, you can see the cursors of the students in the sandbox playing around. Thank you so much for those that are testing this out. Awesome. So just a quick recap while we have people trying this out and experimenting on our sandbox. We have already covered how to go to Padlet.com, create a blank board on Padlet, add content to it, and then go into Sandbox and how to start a sandbox and add content to that. You can also click on the various cards here to get to other whiteboards in my sandbox. So please feel free to play around and try this out. All right. So I'm going to now hop into the using Padlet AI tools. So if you're still in the sandbox playing around, perfect. Um, I want you guys to be able to test this out to make sure to think of how you could use this in your classroom environment. So while you're playing around, I'm going to go into more of the Padlet AI tools. So these are more of the newer features in Padlet. So my intermediates that answered on the poll here, you might be more interested in some of these newer features. So let's hop into that. So one of our features that is available for teachers and students is our AI image generator. So here I am going to click on that +17 and I have the AI image right here and I have AI speech. So these are the two available for students. AI image generator, this is fun. This one you can type in, comment, a panda eating pizza on the beach. And so now it generates an image for me. I can paste that image into the sandbox and I can move this around. I can shrink it, make it bigger, things like that. So that is one of the newer AI features. We also have some teacher AI, so just for teachers, and I'm going to hop into those in just a second. But next we have our last activity, our last participation activity. It's number 3 here at the top with the chameleon, or it's also down here, AI drawing tools for students. So This is a Padlet board that we have been collecting those I can't draw or what we call AI image now. So here, if you click on that board, and I will link this board in, let me make sure it is available for everybody. If it's not, please let me know. But here, you can click on this board, click on this plus sign at the bottom, and you can add in your AI image. And so we have some prompts here. Where are you from? Or a favorite place. You could type in your favorite animal, eating your favorite food at your favorite place. Um, that's why I did panda eating pizza on the beach. Type in your favorite hobby, or you can add them together. You could say a giraffe playing tennis. Um, Someone did a kitten eating hamburgers at football, and so on. So you can kind of, I'll peruse some of these so that way you can see like elephant eating sushi. Just some creative, imaginative ideas that you can use. It looks like we have a squirrel or chipmunk with a hot dog, and so on and so forth. So here we have cool vibe. And then we have some otters. So you can click on this AI image. It's going to prompt you to draw up whatever you can think of. Like I said, if you're thinking student wise, this is heavily monitored for for appropriateness. So if the student put in something inappropriate, it will not draw it. But here we have a dog with their computer, cats with a croissant in the garden. So feel free to hop into this Padlet and add your own. Oh my goodness. I think I see some that just added in dog with pizza. Love it. My pup's sleeping in the background. I don't know if you can catch that, but we have a chef in the kitchen. Beautiful. Awesome. So if you're thinking, hey, Kelly, this is cool. What can we do with this in the classroom? Well, we have some ideas and I linked them in down here for you to check out. So, for example, grammar practice. So for my secondary English teachers, taking a simple sentence and turning it into a complex sentence. So here we have the simple one, then we have the compound, and then the complex, and then they put the complex sentence into the AI image generator to see if it matches what the complex sentence they want, what they imagine for the complex sentence. So that's a quick example of how to utilize that in real practice. And then also if this one is a rainforest images. So, elementary teacher was starting their unit on rainforest and wanted to generate some images on what the rainforest looks like to start with. And then more instructional uses of AI drawing. So here we kind of have this more informational Padlet available as a resource to kind of look and see how other teachers are utilizing it. Oral language development, engaging writing prompts. So here, as the teacher, you could make 3 different AI images and have the students write a story based off of those images. Little things like that. So that was AI image. Like I said before, that is something that students and teachers have access to. So now I'm going to hop into the 2 that teachers only have access to. All right, so let's hop back into Padlet. Once again, I'm under Make. So the first one is AI recipes. AI recipes is listed down here. AI recipes is a way to help you, the teacher, start a Padlet board for your students. So instead of clicking blank board or blank sandbox, where you have to start adding the content in yourself, you can click the AI recipes and you can build this Padlet. So I'm going to click on a map of historical events. We will do Texas history, and I believe it is 4th grade. I am from North Carolina, so please forgive me if I mess up anything here. Topic or lesson, the Alamo. I was in San Antonio just a few months ago for ISTE, so I got to see the Alamo for the first time. It was amazing. Smaller than I thought. But anyways, and you're probably over here nodding like, yeah, Kelly, yeah. And then we could do southern states and Mexico. Here, you can align it to the TEKS, you can align it to your standards, your what you want this to be. So you can really narrow this prompting down. So I'm just going to click create just to see what it gives me here. Um, and then we will go from there. So instead of me having to start a board from scratch and build the board, build the posts on the Padlet, things like that, I am using these AI recipes for it to build it for me, and then I can edit those after it has created this board. So here it is creating the board for me. It's going to make a map. It's going to pinpoint locations in this map. And so once it loads, hopefully it will dazzle all of us. And then if there's any questions while we're waiting for it to create the map, let me know. So now it has created the map of the Alamo history map, and then it has pinpointed these locations. I can click on these locations to really see the content that it is provided. And then, like I said, I can go in and edit this content as needed. I can add more into it. So I can really come in and double check, make sure this is all accurate, make sure that this is exactly what I want for my lesson. And I have this map assistant over here to the side that pops up. This map assistant will help if I wanted to have YouTube videos in here instead of the pictures, if I wanted to change what the map looked like, if I wanted it to add more or add less or take away some of these. So here you can use the map assistant, or you can come in and personalize this and make it your own. So that is AI recipes. And like I mentioned before, AI recipes is located, if you're under make, it is located under make. So when you're under make, you'll have your blank board, your blank sandbox, and right underneath you should have AI recipes. If you do not have AI recipes, you may need to go into your settings, and you may need to make sure that your settings show that you are a teacher. If you chose like personal, if you chose um, your account type as student or personal or business, if you do teacher or school staff, it should give you the AI recipes. So that is our first teacher related AI, and that is AI recipes. Like I said, any questions, feel free to unmute, feel free to type in the chat. I'm happy to slow down, happy to speed up. Um, Now, our second teacher AI, and this is very new, like new this summer, it is TA up here at the top. And TA is a really cool new website that is included with Padlet.com. This is all free, by the way. I just want to point that out. There, nothing that I have showed you today is behind the subscription. So everything that I'm showing you, including the AI recipes, the Padlet TA, that is all included in a free account. So please hop on and give it a try. But here, Padlet TA, this is a great place to go to help build curriculum for teachers. So if you're looking to do something simple like a name picker, I love this. I used to have popsicle sticks in my class. I taught second grade for 7 years. Here, I would pull out the popsicle, but here you can make this a little bit more fun with student interaction. List the names here, pick each name once, and we're going to generate this to pick names. And just something simple like that, that really gets students involved. So it marks off Harry, and then I can pick my next name, so on and so forth. So what we call widgets. So these are called little widgets right here. QR code generators, short link generators, smart groups. If you're trying to group your students based off of reading levels or abilities, you can, come in here, list out their names, put what they're good at, put their reading levels, things like that, and it will help create these smart groups for you. And then we have more curriculum based content here. So if you wanted to make a lesson plan, if you wanted to do fill in the blanks, matching activities, things like that, text levelers. Personally, if I was still teaching, I would be using text levelers like none other because elementary teacher here, I had reading levels from K to eighth grade reading levels in my third grade class. So you can use this text leveler. You can bring in content, you can paste your content, and then you can say what reading level you need it to adapt to. So it can help out with differentiation. I have some quick examples right now of what it could look like. So, for example, I did reading passage, and I said, okay, here's this reading passage. I want seventh grade reading. I want a nonfiction reading passage on recycling, and I want it to align to STAR testing. So I want it to be very similar to what they would see in like a STAR test. And so here it gave me a reading passage that it generated on the spot. I can export this into a Padlet, into a Google Doc, into a PDF, and then bam, now I have that reading passage. And then I took it a step further. In Padlet TA, I went to the reading passage, I generated that. And then I said, okay, I want questions based off this reading passage. Um, Maybe I'm helping my students practice on a certain TEK standard. So I went to right beside it to multiple choice quiz. And so I said, okay, let me get that multiple choice quiz going. Seventh grade reading. I'm going to link in that passage. I'm going to add that link and I'm going to bring it in. So now it's popping in at the bottom. And my topic, I want it to focus on TEKS standard 7.9A, which is author's purpose for nonfiction. And then I might say, I want 5 questions and I want 4 answer choices for each. And then I could get even more granular if I would like. Let me just generate this just to show you how quickly it creates it for me. And then I can take this and download it. I can take this and put it into a Padlet. I can take it and use it somewhere else. So this is a really cool feature to help generate content, especially if you are looking at, trying to shake things up standards wise, if you're trying to create things. So the possibilities are endless here. So right now it is generating this multiple choice quiz based off of the link that I sent it. And so here it has some questions. It gives me those answers, which is I'm very thankful for. And then I can export this, or I can have a student play link. Student play link is really cool. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go in, and now it has this little website that my students can go to with this multiple choice already in here. And then they can answer these questions and they can submit it. Oh, try again. And so here, if you are now intrigued and you're like, okay, Kelly, where did you go to get here? Let me take a step back and let me show you again. Here we're in Padlet.com. TA is right here at the top. Click TA. This is where you can create content for your curriculum. So like I said, we have little widgets to help with links, QR codes, name pickers, things like that. Then you also have more curriculum guided content. So here we can do reading passages, we can do multiple choice quizzes, text levelers, matching activities. Some of these you can turn into student facing and some of these may be teacher facing. So it's really up to you how you would like to utilize Padlet TA. And like I said, everything that I just showed you is on your free account on Padlet.com. So please feel free to come in and check this out. So those are AI with Padlet. So I'll recap really quickly. The first one, AI drawing tool for students. So this one is student and teacher. This is AI image generator. So here, click on that plus, AI image. You can type in your image and it will generate that image. If appropriate, it will generate that image. Next, we have create with AI. These are our AI recipes. So we have some examples here. If you were like, okay, Kelly, you made a map of the Alamo, that's great, but what else can I do? So here we have some examples of how you could generate the AI recipes. So for example, reading list K2. So here we have your AI prompt that we put in, and then we have the generation of the AI recipes for the Padlet that created for us. So really cool stuff. Hopefully everyone is playing around right now with it. And then we also have Padlet TA examples. So Padlet TA, like I mentioned, it's a whole new website. It is included in Padlet.com, and it is a curriculum content generator. So here, I'll just hop into one really quickly, matching activity. Let's go with second grade, and then we'll do life cycle of a butterfly. And then I could add in content. I could add in a link. I could add in a YouTube video, but I'll just click generate. I'll show you how quickly it makes this matching activity for me to then share with my students. So it will create this matching activity, and then I will have the ability to download it. I will also have the ability for a student play link up here at the top. Um, the student play link is my favorite because it just all you have to do is share the link out with students, and it's a great practice. It's not necessarily an assessment. We don't pull a grade and put it into your grade book for you, but it is a great way to kind of promote, practicing things like that. So here's this matching activity. It has the audio with it, so I can move this over. And it screamed eggs at me. I know you probably didn't hear it, but it screamed eggs at me as I moved it over. But I have the student play link. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to open up my new tab, put that play link in, and this is the one I could share with students, and they can play around and and do this matching activity. So really cool things in Padlet. Um, so let me hop back into my Padlet that I shared with you earlier today. Just a quick recap of what we've already talked about. So we have introduced Padlet. We have created a blank board and showed where you can add content into that board. We created a sandbox and where you can add content into your sandbox. Then we used AI. So we played around with the student AI with I can't draw, or now what is called AI image. We did AI recipes, and then we did Padlet TA. So AI recipes and Padlet TA are two teacher related AIs. So now I'm going to hop into my last section here, which is the advanced features on Padlet. So I want to show some advanced features to help create purpose and focus for your Padlets. So I'm going to show post fields, and then I'm going to show auto remakes, and I'll also show breakout rooms. Those three are my favorite as a former educator. I feel like they really help, focus and narrow down your purpose of your Padlet. All right, so let me hop into a Padlet. I'm going to remove some of these tabs. This is a great time to type a question or unmute if you have any right now. But let me go into Padlet again. All right, so here we're in Padlet. I'm going to click on a blank board. Let's just go ahead and create a blank board right now. And like I said before, as a recap, here is the layouts you can choose from. Like I said, there's the map, table, grid, free form. You can try all these out if you would like, but let's just go ahead and go into Padlet. This brown background's kind of boring. I may go into my settings, into my wallpaper, and I can change my background, make it pretty. There we go. And so now I may want to make this more purposeful for my students. So this may be an introduction Padlet. Since we're coming up on back to school, or we may already be back to school, we might want to introduce ourselves to our classmates. So we may have students hopping on a Padlet to answer some questions about themselves. Um, or we could just say, welcome to my class. All right. And so now I may want my students to introduce themselves. I can come in here and I can type in some directions. Please introduce yourself. And then you can give more instructions down here. So I can also pin this, by the way. That is another advanced tip. Pin that post, make it the first post they see. Now, here on Padlet, this is where I want to get into what we call post fields. Post fields is an advanced tip I love to share because as a former educator myself, I know my third graders, I know my second graders. I know that whenever they would get onto something like this and they see all of these attachment styles, some of them might go down a rabbit hole here. Some of them might say, oh my goodness, I'm gonna just draw and I'm gonna draw a cat. I'm not even gonna introduce myself. And so as a teacher, I want to pull that focus away and like get rid of some of these things, right? So this is where we can go to do that. So whenever you have this post up here, whenever you click that plus button and this little post box appears, down here is fields. Click on fields, and this is where you can make this post guided. So instead of subject, I might want it to say name, and I might make this a required part to fill out. I'm going to click save, and bam, now it says name, and it has a little asterisk because that means it's required. I'm going to go back down into fields, attachments. It gives me all those attachments that the students have access to right now. I'm going to deselect them all. And then I'm going to choose the ones I want them to use. Maybe I want them to do a video or an audio recording. I'm going to click save. And now those two attachments are the only ones they can have access to. Like I said, one of my favorite things is making it more purposeful and guided. Where it says write something fantastic down here. I'm going to click fields. I'm going to go to body. I'm going to say, tell us your favorite thing to do after school. Save. And so now it is more guided, more prompted. And then last but not least, I'm going to click fields one last time. We can have custom fields. So if you want to add more questions to it, make it very guided. I can come here, I can say, what is your favorite color? Field type. Do I want it to be a date? Do I want it to be a number? Here, I can say I want it to be a single select, and I'm going to give some options. We got blue, we got red, we got orange. Create. Now we have that question down here. Students can come in and select. So when I share this out with my students, it is very guided, very prompted, and it's exactly what I want for my students to complete. So that is an advanced tip called post fields. Now, my next two advanced tips are about how to share the Padlet with your students. We'll go to share. Like I said, this is where you determine your access. So I want my students to write on this Padlet. Now, when I scroll down to links, I can copy this link, I can share it with my students, and everybody can see what everyone is adding to this Padlet in real time. We have breakout rooms. Breakout rooms is whenever you have columns. So I'm going to add some columns here. So as you can see here, section 1, section 2, section 3. When I go to share this and I click breakout rooms now, I have a room for each section. So maybe I want my class 1 to be section 1. I can rename them if I would like. But here, class 2, class 3, I can copy that link and I can send it out to my students in class 3. Whoop. And of course, I need to add some writer. Let's see. Copy this breakout rooms link, open it up. So now I can only see the section that I was given. So this is great for small groups, breakout rooms, things like that. If you have a Padlet with a lot of information and you want to break it down into chunks and send those chunks out at a time, you can do so with breakout rooms. You can also, give 5 students section 1, 5 students section 2, and so on and so forth. So breakout rooms, here's your different sections. And then here, auto remake. Last thing I'm going to mention, if you want a copy for each student so they fill this out individually, that is our auto remake. Very similar to like if you ask them to make their own Google copy, a forced copy on Google Doc or Google Sheet or Google Slides and have them work on it themselves. So auto remake link is a forced copy. I would copy this link. I'm going to open this up. As a student, it is remaking this Padlet for me. So I am the only one that can see it. My name is attached to it as a student, and I can work on this. And what's really cool about this, and one of my favorite little features about the auto remake link. So my student made a copy of it. I'm going to go to auto remake link, and now I can see that student's auto remake link down here. So then I can click on that student's work and see it. So I don't have to ask them to share the link with me. I have it right there. So auto remake link. If you don't want your students working together, that you want them individually working on this one Padlet and you made like a template or a shell, bam, here you go. Auto remake link. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So hopping back into my Padlet, we're going to wrap this up. All right, so we went over how to access Padlet.com, how to make a Padlet, how to make a sandbox. We showed examples. We went into the AI drawing tools with it. We looked at some advanced features such as post fields, auto remake links, and breakout rooms. And so now, last but certainly not least, is the resources page. So if you, like I said earlier, if you were like, oh my gosh, she spoke way too long, or she said she gave us a lot of information, good information, but a lot of information. Here's the resources page that you can go back to at any time to do more self-paced learning. We have PDs, we have a Padlet of our new features. So if you are one of those intermediate Padlet people, you can come in and see what new features we have. So you can say, ooh, they have Shakespeare now as a language on Padlet. Really cool. But here, we have some extra resources. We have some webinars, past webinars. So if you were more interested in how to use Padlet with Flip as a Flipgrid alternative or Jamboard alternative, or how to use Padlet as icebreakers, things like that. So we have webinars that we recorded in the past few months based off of that. So you can click on them to view webinars that we have hosted. And then last but certainly not least, our contact us. It is quick. It is hello@padlet.com. So I will put that in the chat. If you have any issues whatsoever, if you are struggling to log in, if you're struggling to create something, please email us. We have an amazing support team to help out at any time. All right. So I have covered everything on this Padlet. I'm kind of giving you a lot of information in this 50-ish minutes. What questions do you have? All right. So if no questions, we will conclude from here. Um, I know in the chat we have the check-in and the session evaluation. Great, awesome. And then I'm here. Please feel free to unmute and ask questions. Feel free to type in the chat and ask questions. Feel free to play around on this Padlet and continue exploring. Thank you so much for attending today. Thank you for participating and have a great rest of your day.